Hello and welcome to round 3 in tier 1 of season 3 and Gran Turismo 7 Nero. As we see a host of drivers, well, we see Niggs and Yeast racing in qualifying. Niggs in his Porsche and Yeast, it looks like it's in the AMG or the McLaren. Looks like the McLaren. I'm not sure what's going on here, but anyway, these two lads want to get into it nice and early as we see Rob off the track. And let's get some of the information up for you. Oh, there's a lot of chaos going on here. That's surely to be reported later on. Anyway, Kieran Purnell currently leading the way. Provisional pole position with a 137.221. Great stuff from him. James Wiggins very closely following behind. Just under 3/10, and then Rob 0.09 of a second away from James. Macaulay Beard returning after he's actually in a Mazda, returning after a 1-week sabbatical to watch England. In P4, business stuck, Mr. Paul Hutchin in his Volkswagen Beetle. In P5, Goofy Woody Soren Jans. Anyway, in P6 at the moment, Remco Sweets in P7. Philip Rainford in P8, Mr. Nice in P9, Drop It, Paul in P10, Jason Booner in P11, Dan Marquez in P12, Aaron Hyland, who's managed to sneak his way in here in P13, Racer in 14, and Apo Tilbo yet to set a lap. As we have got 5 minutes left to go in this qualifying session, as Kieran into the pits for a fresh set of softs. Nobody decided to refuel, which is the smart thing to do. James is sponsored by Skechers, apparently. Beautiful looking livery there. Very orange. I think there's a lot of Welsh flags, if I remember. As he is currently a 10.5 up on his time. Going to the tricky sector 2 here, where it's very easy to lose the car on the final part of the collection of corners here, and then a heavy braking zone into the infamous seaside portion. And James has set a purple sector too, which is also known as the death chicane. How many people will we see die there today? That's a good question. That will be the main question, because that can make or break your race. Another heavy braking zone, braking around the 125 meter, well, no board, but between 100 and 150 meters as well, is it? No, it's between 138. Doesn't improve. Round out the rest of the grid. Just going to get ready now just to start the race. That is Yeast on provisional pole. Well, not provisional, it is pole. as we're now about to get underway. As we do have a quick start. False starts on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights, and we are about to get racing in Dragon's Trail for round 3 in Tier 1. And it looks like everyone gets away well there. Someone there on the end side gets Rob Cross getting away quite well as well. Yeast managing to keep P1 into turn 1. Kieran being swamped already by James though. And Rob. Rob has gone from P5 up all to P2 after one turn. Kieran staying with him though, as everyone looks to get away quite well there. No craziness just now at the moment. James and Rob going side by side into the end of Sector 1. Remco staying with them there as well. He's up to P4 now. Business stuck down to P6. Dan Marquez, Woody, everyone else looking to get away quite safely, apart from Aaron Hyland, who's away back already. East 3 tenths clear at the moment, but Kieran Purnell staying with them. And we're seeing James here, Business Stuck, and Dan all very close to each other. Dan had a great race last week in Brazil. We have seen someone go wide there. That is indeed Business Stuck. He has gone wide. Further up the field, Kieran is sticking with Yeast. Dan and James getting very close to each other there. Who will be our first victim in the death chicane? That will be the optimal question here. As further up the field, Kieran Purnell has actually taken the lead against Macaulay Beard into the final corner, and there's 4 drivers at the moment going to be squabbling for this lead here. As we're right on board with Yeast as he goes to the start-finish straight. Very close to the back of Kieran's tyres here. Those drivers have to keep it clean here, otherwise it's going to be a nasty shunt. And Rob is waiting right in the wings as well, as Kieran goes for the move on the inside. Kind of pushes Yeast off, and that compromises him. Here comes Remco as well. Yeast in the middle of a sandwich between Rob and Remco. Into turn 4 they go. Yeast backs out of it cleverly enough there, and he's going to take this move on Rob on the inside. It looks to be a bit of lag in the lobby as well. And Kieran's going to get away nicely with all this because there's going to be a lot of fighting behind him. Gives him a chance to build up a bit of a lead or a gap. James Wiggins now entering the party as well, waiting to capitalise on any mistakes from the drivers in front of them. And here comes Mr. Rob Cripps on the inside into the heaviest braking zone on the track, and he's going to get that move done. But here comes Jeets with a switchback. They're going to be touching paint here. There's a bit of banging between them. Might be desing in the lobby. Great move there. As Rob elects to just stay behind now. But he's got a better exit out of the death chicane than Macaulay, and he's going to make a move into the final corner perhaps, as he got enough track to do it, as James Wiggins also arriving rapidly on the scene. And we'll just stick with James just for the moment because he has the best view in the house of this battle. Further up the field, Remco and Kieran unchanged, P1 and P2. And Dan as well. Everyone is in this battle. 4 drivers in this here. Further up the field, not a whole lot to separate these two. Remco electing not to make a move just yet, but Rob looking in, and Yeast here on the inside line. Yeast, this is where he was kind of not given a lot of space last lap by Kieran. And something similar happened there by Rob, but Yeast keeps the position for now. Dan closing in James for that big wobble there. Took a bit too much curb. Can't take the bumps here in those curves, otherwise you're just going to lose the car. Woody arriving on the scene as well now. This tricky zone here, it can be easy to lose the car and lose the tyres ever so slightly there. Stick this is on the racing softs. Rob is on the racing mediums, interestingly enough. So he just has to keep with it with Macaulay here, and he's going to have such an advantage later on in the race. And he's on the softer compound tyre, which is faster. But you can just see there, he's just getting better exits by the looks of it. It's because he's on the softer tyres. Into the death chicane they go, round 3 of 20. Everyone looks to be unscathed. But here comes James Wiggins, who's got a much better exit here than both drivers in front of him, and he's going to take Rob on the inside here. It's a great move by James there, very, very clean. Is Rob going to give this one up though? He's going to stick with him as best he can. This is going to give East a chance to get away though, as the drivers behind him are going to fight and take less than optimal lines. Rob on the outside now into turn 1. Not giving this up. Great stuff from these two lads. Very, very clean. And James flirting with the idea of a switchback. Dan Marquez is still waiting to capitalise. Same with Woody. Jason Boomer is just a bit off the way. He's about 4.5 seconds off. But here comes business stuck on him, and he's rapidly gaining on him in that Volkswagen Beetle. Apotolpo up to P10 after disappointing qualifying for them. Mr. Black Jeebus, Aaron Hyland in P15 currently. Kieran Purnell still in P1. Has fended off the opening skirmishes after a very interesting first 2 laps. Now Remco is rapidly closing in though. This is a chance for Remco's first win in ERO. What can the little hungry king do here? They have 16 laps to make a difference. And East has broken the slipstream basically by Rob. He's a bit of a wobble in the exit there. And as this race goes on, it favors the medium runners more and more, as they'll just have they'll have more grip than the soft runners pretty soon, and then they'll be onto the soft tyres for the second half of this race. Dan Marquez getting through past James Wiggins there, who probably had a bad exit out of the death chicane. James having to make a bit of evasive action there to go into the back of Dan's AMG. Now the gap is 1.4 seconds between Rob and Yeast. Kieran has been overtaken by Remco into turn 1. And Kieran's going to be on the outside line here. Is he going to try something fancy? Doesn't look like it. He's just going to try and bull his way through. Remco gets a bit of understeer. And as a result of that, Kieran's back into P1. But Remco might have gotten a better exit there. Is he going to make a move into this next heavy braking zone? Interesting question. Elects not to. I think he has a bit of a wobble there, taking a bit too much curb. Now, again, into the tricky braking zones here of the S's in Sector 2. Remco's staying right to the back of Kieran's car here. And this is going to give Yeast a chance to get back into the action too. As we'll see now that the gap just starts going down and down and down because these two drivers start compromising their lines. It looks to be reasonably solid there from these two drivers. It's a great exit from Remco there as well. Into the death chicane complex we go. Is anybody going to be brave here? Remco elects to play a bit safe there, I think. Kieran has a bit of a wobble though. Is that going to compromise him all that much? It has. Remco's going to look to make the move on the inside here into the final corner. Side by side they go. Kieran giving plenty of space. Very fair racing from him. Is he going to try the switchback here? He is indeed. And he's going to get a better exit. And it's a very, very long straight. It must be said. And as a result of that, he's going to be on the outside, but he should get the move done. Into turn 2. Yeast now getting half a second this last lap on these two. Remco going to have the inside line now. Kieran's already going to be ahead before the braking zone ends. Yeast after gaining massively there. Rob over 2 seconds away, and Dan is very close to the back of him. James Wiggins falling off the pace ever so slightly here now, just under 2 seconds away from Dan. As we see Woody as well, just away from James. So big gelt is beginning to form here. Paul not looking to have the pace at the moment today. And further down the field, we see drivers not being able to keep up at the moment. However, It seems to be the top three's race at the moment. And Kieran is leading the way. Remco is still very close behind. And Yeaster is 1.8 seconds away at one point now, just 0.6 away. The soft tires don't seem to be degrading at all for them. You can see by his fuel, he's got just over half a tank left. And here we go here. Remco on the inside, Yeaster on the outside. Yeaster's going to try and take a wide line here to get a better exit of both drivers. And he's going to get a better exit than Remco, that's for sure. Is he going to get a better exit than Kieran? That's a good question. Doesn't look like it at the moment. Trying to use as much slipstream as he can on Remco to get ahead. But I don't think that Mazda has the straight line speed by the looks of it. As Yeaster's going to make a move on the inside here into turn 2. Cannot get the move to stick. Kieran gets the better exit for now. I think he's compromised himself against Remco. Not enough track though for Remco to make the move. But these three very close to each other now at this point. Oh, these three drivers doing very well to not make any contact because Remco's a bit of a wobble there. And I think all drivers had a bit of a wobble there. Is there dirty air in this game? That's a good question. Look at this. This is great to watch from these three. Into the SS section. Literally stuck to each other's bonnets. And Yeaster's going to try and move on the inside here. And Kieran's going to try the switchback, which has been done many times into that corner already. Both drivers have a bit of a wobble. That compromised them both to Remco. This is not going to weld well. Yeast backs out, fair enough. But here he comes right back at the two of them here. Remco almost goes back into Kieran's car in the dead chicane. Both drivers nearly a massive collision there. Why? Yeast in the middle, Remco on the outside, inside Kieran on the outside. Kieran going from P1 to P3 in just a few corners. And Rob is now rapidly approaching on the scene here as well. Now it's Remco's turn to be the mouse in this game, a cat and mouse between these three. Kieran becoming the cat, so is Yeast. These three putting on an absolute clinic on good racing here. It's great to watch. As Yeast is up to P1. And Remco's really burned through his tyres here. Rob arriving on the scene. James is also catching up as these three keep battling along. It's great to watch here. Absolutely super stuff. As now, does Remco like to make a move here? He's going to have the better exit. He's gaining. He's gaining. He's going to be side by side going into the braking zone. Who's last on the brakes here? Both drivers elect to play cautiously, and that's going to compromise Remco there, to be honest. As Kieran's now arrived rapidly on the scene. Kieran has to back out though, otherwise take evading action. Otherwise going back in Remco's car. Into the wall. Wall challenge. Dead chicane we go. And Rob has just got a much better exit there than Kieran. Remco going to look for a move down the inside, which he's been doing a lot this race so far. And he's gotten quite a decent exit there, and he is gaining, so he's gotten a better exit. And here he goes on Yeast. Run could get a bit brave there. He didn't. No, he kept it quite clean. There's a big wobble there, though. Very close to losing the car there. And Yeast is going to have to sit behind just for now. Kieran's there. Rob is there. Now it's a pack of 4. What was once 3 is now 4. James Wiggins slightly still a bit of ways away. The rest of the grid starting to get spaced out. But apart from this big pack here developing with Goofy Woody leading the way. Dan Marquez behind him, then Mr. Nice, Racer, names, Drop It, and Black Jeebus is a bit of ways away. And we'll go back up the top. As yet again, these two are going to be fighting. I think East has got an amazing exit at the last turn there, but has to sit behind. For the moment, Kieran and Rob the exact same. This is great to watch from the four of these. And Kieran's got a better exit there out of that turn. And Yeast not giving him a lot of space there. And as a result, oh, and Remco's on the wall. Oh my. James Wigan getting past him as well. Our first big crash in the death chicane is the Little Hungry King. Unfortunately for them, that puts Yeast up to P1. And Rob is just happily staying along here. James Wiggins into the pits. He's our first driver. Remco as well. Remco's had enough of those mediums. Or those softs, sorry. Kieran having a bit of a wide exit there. Oh, makes contact with the back of Rob's car. That's going to compromise them two on the exit of turn 5, I think it is. Rob elected to remain behind the moment. Yeast after building up a second gap here. I think every driver is going to be into the pits now. Rob and Kieran are going to be battling it out here into this heavy braking zone. Kieran will attempt to have a switch back. It's a bit of a snap of oversteer there. And I think he's making contact with the back of Rob's car. Into the death chicane we go. Rob very close to danger there. Now it's over 2 seconds is the gap between Yeast and Rob. And here comes Kieran on the outside into the final turn. Yeast into the pits, Rob into the pits. He's probably done very well to avoid a penalty there. Kieran into the pits as well. Business Stuff electing to stay out for one more lap. What is Dan going to do? He's into the pits as well. Just very well as well to avoid a penalty there. So now as the grid now becomes a bit of a chaotic with drivers who haven't pitted coming up against drivers who have, so fresher tyres against old tyres. Now looks to be a 2-horse race now as Kieran's dropped ways down. Not sure what happened to him there. We're going to see how these soft tyres of Rob does against the hot medium tyres of Yeast. How much more grip is he going to have? That's the question. Business Duck casually trotting along in his own race. Further down the field, Woody's the 3-second time penalty. Dan in P13 as well. Remco, who's having such an impressive race at one point, all the way down to P9. Kieran in P7. This will all change once the pitting has been completed. But Rob already within a second between himself and Yeast. She's gained over a second that last lap there. And this is going to be the battle for the rest of the race, folks. As James Wiggins is in third, and he's just a bit away. And he's also on the softs, though. Can't knock him out. So this is the thing in GT7, because there's no safety cars or double yellow flag conditions. If you can keep with the soft runners at the start on the mediums, or just relatively keep with them within a few seconds, you have such a good chance later on because they're just so much faster. Just look at the exits Rob's getting here. He's gaining a tenth on nearly every single corner. He's currently with the fastest lap. I'm sure that's going to change as the race evolves. To one of the soft runners. Yeah, Kieran's just been left for dust, unfortunately for him, on these medium tyres. Remco, something similar. But Paul Hutchinson, who's had a good recovery after being at the back of the grid at the start. Still very close between these two here. Who's going to get a better exit here in this traction heavy zone? Rob needs to get past while his tyres are still fresher and faster before the crossover happens. Into the Death Chicane complex we go again for lap 12 of 20. Oh look, there's just desync. As Rob's got a much better exit there, he's just got more grip, you can just tell. At least they're going to be battling out now into turn 1. Rob's going to have the inside into turn 1, the outside into turn 2, but that's not going to matter because he's already through. Clean through like it's nobody else's business. Does Yeast make a move? Rob moves a tiny bit under braking there, but it looks okay. It might have been desync in the lobby. Closing the door hard on Yeast, and James Wiggins has rapidly emerged on the scene here. Someone else has just entered the pits. Yeast not giving this up just yet. James also sticking his nose in it now as he's gone on those fresher, faster tyres as well. Here comes Yeast though, on Rob. He's got a better exit. They're going to go side by side into the S's. No driver wants to give this up just yet. Yeast on the inside there. There's a bit of contact. James arriving on the scene now. This could all end up in tears very, very quickly. James backs out last second. Very good racecraft from him. Rob with a better exit here though. Is he going to be gaining on Yeast very slightly? He's going to have the inside line here into the heaviest braking zone on the track. Is he going to make a dive? He does elect to make a dive. Does it stick though? Because Yeast is going to have the better exit here. Rob again closing that door hard on Macaulay. These two might come to blows at some point here by the looks of it. And Wiggy. Oh, and there's contact there, and Yeast is around. We did say, and here comes Kieran Purnell as well. Oh my. Surely that's going to be investigated after the race. Did Yeast just get a bad exit out of the Death Chicane? We'll find out later on. And now Rob, 2.8 seconds clear. Just has to keep it on the track as Yeast into the pits. As he feels those mediums just didn't work out for him. Immediately sticking the softs on by the looks of it. So Yeast has a bit of work to do here if he wants to catch up with the pack. And he's going to have to go through the pack with 6 laps to go. Or 7 laps to go, technically. Rob now cruising nearly 3 seconds in the lead. James 3 seconds away from Kieran as well. Kieran has got a 2.3 second buffer himself and Paul. Remco arriving on the scene here on those mediums though. And Apo Tolpo is going to be racing Yeast here down to the heavy braking zone at the end of sector 2. Apo also on the soft tyres. Just doesn't get a good exit there, and that's going to compromise him. He's trying to break the slipstream or something? I don't know. Apo doing his best to try and save Yeast there, unfortunately for them. Rob into the pits now. What's going on here now? We missed something here. He's refueling as well. Maybe he's just getting the fuel wrong. Is the 2-stop the better strategy here, or are we missing something? And that's going to put James Wiggins into P1 at the moment. He's going to have enough fuel to get to the end of the race, surely. Kieran Purnell is going to be in P2. Paul Hutchinson right behind him. So what have we missed here? Jason in his Toyota Supra, casually sitting in P5 with nobody around him, taking in the beautiful sights of Croatia as he's driving on the coastline with the mountains right behind him. Not a care in the world. Where is the Black Jeebus? Still a bit of ways away. As we see drop it. Paul currently in P14. Philip Rainford in P13. Racer Waster P12. Mr. Nice, I think that's Philip Rainford. In P11. And then Dan Marquez, who was showing great pace at one who was showing great pace at one point, is now currently P10. And these two are going to be racing into the death chicane, keeping it very clean, it must be said. There's some great racecraft here this evening. And further up the field, James Wiggins has taken the lead. Sorry, not James Wiggins, sorry. Business Duck has overtaken Kieran Purnell. I think the damage has been done for Rob and Yeast. They were having a great race at one point and it's just gone all wrong. I don't know what exactly happened, but I think he just wanted to get rid of those mediums. Rob is gaining on the drivers ahead of him, and he's gaining on the leader, but 18 seconds is a big ask in 4 laps or 5 laps. But he is gaining nearly in every single corner. Setting a purple sector 2. Paul Hutchinson currently has the fastest lap at 1:37.448. Jason in P5. Remco, a good recovery so far, up to P4 after a disastrous kiss with the death chicane. Now Kieran 3 seconds off the base of Paul. Paul 3.5 seconds away from James. James just has to cruise away to the win here. That Beetle just sounds so racy and so angry the whole time. It sounds like a bee or something. That's Cameron, a bit of a wobble there. As the race finally begins to settle down. Very, very clean from the three of them there. Everyone did very well to not want to die. Great stuff. Further up the field, Delta's beginning to really form now as you've got just 3 laps to go. Dan Marquez has had enough for this evening. He is tapped out. Just 2 laps to go now, and James Wiggins has just kept it clean all race. Very calm and composed. Paul Hutchinson, who's had a great recovery as well, was at the back of the grid at one point. Now he's up to P2. Jason Booner also has to be commended for a very solid race so far. Has just kept out of trouble again. He's going to have some stiff competition here as we enter into the final lap for these lads. So it's going to be a 3-way battle at the end. It's going to be a disastrous day at the shop for Yeast. Unfortunately for them, Remco, Rob, Jason, all vying for P4 here. Rob is going to look to make the move here on Jason for P4. And does indeed get it done. Nothing really happening up the top, so we'll stay with this fight just for the end here, because this will be the last fight on the track. And Yeast is also rapidly arriving on the scene here as well. So we really even have a 4-way battle for the last, for another high-paying point spot, which is 4th position. Point structure being revamped for this season in GT7 with the aid of Mr. Diogo Valente. Great lad. Thank you so much for everything you do in the ERO. And just to go further up the field, James Wiggins going to cross the line in P1. It's going to be a great day at the office for him. Paul Hutchins is going to finish in P2. Kieran Purnell, after a very up and down tumultuous race, is going to finish in P3. Rob Cripps is going to finish in P4. Jason Boomer is going to finish in P5. Who's going to finish between these two? It's going to be a drag race to the line now between Yeast and Remco. And it's going to be very, very close here. Remco just by a sliver. P6, East P7. But will finish P8. Well done to them. Mr. Goofy Woody in P9. And drop it with his infamous livery. And that is us done and dusted for another week in ERO Gran Turismo 7. Tune in next week where we have Tier 2 starting at 7 p.m. and Tier 1 starting at 10 past 8.